Well,
Are
what's
we ready?
happening? There we are.
There we are.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the fun show here at BIG, Big TV. This is your
I'm
keyboard is not functioning.
I'm ready for any emergency.
Okay.
Oh, that's the end of the program.
When skies are gray, you'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
We're supposed to have music at the beginning of the program.
That was very nice.
Okay.
After a week of quite a bit of rain that we had,
Right.
you play Sunshine. That's good.
I had the harmonica on a clothesline that dried out.
Harmonica on a clothesline.
Yeah.
This is our August 27th, no, our October 27th show. I said August. I don't know why.
Well, it
this is
sounds
our
like
Halloween.
me.
This is our Halloween
You're not
show.
as old as me. You're not supposed to have moments like that.
I have contact Alzheimer's here. Whenever we set on things. I used to only have nominal Alzheimer's, and now I have contact
All right,
Alzheimer's.
go ahead.
Anyway, here we are. This is our show. It's our last show before Halloween. Hopefully people will have a good time. I was driving around yesterday and saw a lot of houses like up on Pill Hill, very, very decorated. Ghosts singing through the trees
I said to a
and
guy
cobwebs.
who watches the show, I said, we have these horrible masks I'll bring on. We put them on. He says, why would you need the mask?
So we look bad enough as it is.
That's what he said. Okay. All right.
In any case, it's also a week before Election Day, which is finally upon us. Everybody's been trying to avoid it on things, but in a week, one way or another, you got to vote. No matter how distasteful you might find it, you got to go out and vote. Figure out who you're going to vote for. I'm caught in the dilemma: do I vote for Charlie Baker or do I vote for Evan Falchuk? I want to call up the Baker campaign and tell them that they should save their money.
What about women becoming governor? What about a woman becoming governor? That's possible, too.
What are you, Emily's List?
What's wrong with them?
You know, I don't contribute to Emily's List because they choose their candidates by what's below their neck instead of what's above their neck.
Well, I think she's pretty good. She's got better and better. All right, okay.
In any case, I was very convinced that I was going to vote for Charlie Baker, and every time I watch one of his commercials,
Terrible.
He makes it harder and harder for me to vote for it.
There you are.
If he'd just save his money and not run any commercials, he'd be better off.
If
It's
he'd
very difficult.
If he'd read his article in the New York Times about the fall is the time when we have the peak season for roadkill, he'd be better off.
Peak season for roadkill.
Yeah, he'd be better off with that.
Is this because of all the people looking at the trees?
It's all the people who are getting killed going to the bar rooms where he's talking to them and shaking hands and everything.
Why do they say that fall is peak season for roadkill?
Well, because the animals are they're out there.
Searching for a winter burrow or something?
No, they're searching for a mate.
Oh.
In the fall. That's what this article.
Okay.
And deer and all kinds of little animals.
I thought it was all the tourists looking at the colorful trees.
So what are they saying in this piece in the New York Times? They're saying,
don't waste it, cook it.
That's part of it, yeah. But and the state police in all these countries, states do that. But they can have spaces, areas on these roadways for crossings. It's not. You can't put a fence in the middle of the road.
But there's places where they've built tunnels and bridges for the
yes,
wildlife.
that's in this too.
Yeah.
But the animals get the message after a while, and they use these areas.
You know how they get the message? The ones who use them survive.
Well, that's okay. That's good too. All
it's
right.
natural selection.
Well, I think it's a good idea.
Will be said on things. It sounds good. We had an interesting thing this week with this fellow up in Norwood who had really good luck. He won the lottery twice in the same day.
Yeah.
A
lot of money.
Pretty good. Well, it wasn't all that much money, but
well, $25,000 a year for life. That's pretty good.
That's nice. That's nice. You know, that's like
he's taking a lump sum.
that's like a second job. Right?
But then he turns around.
Did you notice that the
Wait a minute, he won another.
then he
big
won
one.
another one? Yes, but so he got a pair of checks for $390,000 each. So yeah, that's a lot of money. Anyway, did you notice that the city councilors in our neighboring city of Boston attempted to raise their salary
Yes.
to be paid $106,000 a year, and the mayor vetoed it, and then he got kidney stones the next day. Does that have anything to do with Halloween? Was somebody around a cauldron? But I must say that this is not my usual reaction, but there's no way in the world that a Boston city councilor is worth $106,000 a year.
Yeah.
They're just not worth it.
Well, they might give a lot to charity. We don't know.
They might.
But we know,
Would
to
you-
their own charity.
Would you like to bet on
Yeah, well, I know
being
what they-
said on that?
Well, do you think any of them think about stuff like this? What the governor says in this piece?
Well, I have no idea. You push it in front of me, and I'm supposed to read it while we're on the air.
Yeah, Patrick touts the gains in school scores for minority pupils. What do you think of that?
I hope it's right. I hope it's right. I have no-
Administration officials said the state budget for this year and fiscal 2014 included new money, and this is a very good one, to pay for early childhood programs and preschool kids, all of them in the whole state. Pre-kindergarten, they have classes for them across the state.
Well, unfortunately, I must admit that if Charlie Baker wins, that will get cut immediately.
Well, unfortunately.
Absolutely
Yeah,
immediately.
I think so, too.
That will simply not happen. So,
That's kind of sad, yeah.
anyway, this race is so confusing to me, and people are so disinterested in it. Never in history have there been fewer political signs up. You drive around Brookline, and the most signs you see are
the
for-
ones you put up.
No, are for question 2.
Yes.
Did you notice that? There are more signs for question 2 than for any candidate.
Does anybody know what the questions really answered? No, if you vote yes for some question, it's supposed to be no.
Yeah,
and on like why do these lawyers all screw up everything in these questions?
They don't actually. The Secretary of State actually gets to do that, and there is a set of rules that these things are meant to be set up so that no is the status quo. No is generally the status quo. And no on referendum questions has a real advantage because people who don't understand the question or haven't looked at it have a very, very deep propensity to vote no. But there's never been an election in my memory where an obscure ballot question on bottle deposits has more signs than any of the candidates.
Well, if they vote yes for casinos, then you should be happy.
I want them to vote yes for casinos.
I know
yes,
you do.
the whole thing.
If they say no, then I'm winning. Okay.
You're winning because you're going to run right off to Everett and.
Former Congressman Barney Frank, you read the article.
Yes, he had the liberal case. He also said that he has no intention of going. That being on the ballot 20 times in 40 years was enough risk-taking for him.
It has to do with Amendment 6, he said. It's something, I can't remember all the things. It was a very good article.
Well, it's very interesting because you could boil it down to say, if he was for sodomy, he can't be against casinos.
He said that, yeah.
Basically, that was his position.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, the only thing I want to say is that I want people to vote for Frank Smisek for our state rep. I have to go that low.
Okay.
And
wife
the best candidate in any of the races on there is Suzanne Bump running for re-election for state auditor.
I think she's good.
The very best candidate.
You got another woman who's running for Attorney General.
Maura Healey.
Yeah,
very nice, little short firebrand of a young woman who was on the Harvard women's basketball team.
I'm voting for her.
And
I'm voting.
Good. Played professional basketball.
I read that.
And she comes up to about my shoulder.
Good. Okay.
No, I like her. She's got a lot of things.
I'm going to say something. Tell you something serious now, which was also
okay,
New York
serious
Times today. I don't know, President and his White House staff must know about this, and the poor guys were flying these bombing missions against ISIS and also into Syria.
Yeah. Well, it's
The
against
Chinese
ISIS
at the
too.
same time are selling these ground-to-air missiles now, and they've shot down two Iraqi helicopters that we gave them, that we gave the Iraqi.
Yeah.
So we're going to have, unfortunately, it sounds to me like we're going to see some of these poor guys in the planes, and they have these great big gunships, lumbering, slow things, which are loaded with 20 millimeter and 30 millimeter cannons.
Gatling guns.
And Gatling guns.
Yes.
These things are going to get hit by
You
these.
remember what we called those during Vietnam? They were C-130s in
Yeah,
Vietnam
yeah.
with these 6,000 rounds per minute
Per minute.
guns. They were called Puff the Magic
Puff
Dragon.
the Magic Dragon. And it was in one of these movies with John Wayne.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. when
The
they
Green
said-
Berets?
Yeah, and they said, okay, Puff the Magic Dragon is coming. All of you lie down and get out of this area. And then it would come over and they'd give them the treatment.
Yeah,
Okay.
cut the whole forest down.
Yes, that's about it.
Did a really good
So
job on it.
but this is a serious, this thing with the Chinese, they're into it. If they're doing this, they're doing it and knowing full well what the ISIS crowd is going to use these things
Does it
for.
come to a surprise to you that the Chinese are our enemy?
No,
Okay,
no.
okay.
But they don't like it if it's turnaround.
Of course not.
Out in the out in the what is that sea out there with the China
Yes.
off their coast. They don't like
the
us.
China Sea.
Yeah, they don't like us sending planes and ships over there and
To
submarines.
Formosa,
Yeah, okay.
Taiwan. I'm sorry, Formosa.
Yeah, I'm very happy.
Can
to
you
s-
remember? Here's a memory test. Can you remember those two little islands that were at the center of international affairs
I
for
remember,
years and years and years?
No, in Florida,
Quemoy and Matsu. Remember those? We
Moy
almost went to
and
war over
Matsu.
these two
We
little
did.
tiny specks in the China Sea.
And there were two specks in the Aleutians, Attu and Kiska.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Yes.
We lost a lot of good guys up there.
And
Because
it
we were
does-
totally unprepared for that.
It doesn't make most of the books. Yes, the Japanese actually briefly took them.
Yes.
And one of them, we lost guys reinvading the island. The Japanese had already left.
I don't want to. I can't stand reading about it. It's terrible. It really is sad. Then there was a big piece. We don't have much
No,
time, but
no,
there was a
sure.
big piece in the New York Times about in the Cold War, United States spy agencies hired and actually they picked these Nazis, 1,000 of them, to be agents and spy on the Russians.
Yeah.
They were frauds, they were embezzlers, they lied, they cheated, they used the money that our government gave them, and they got 40 years, most of them, in this country to live here as free citizens after murdering millions of people in Europe. I won't name who, but you can figure that out. But who was responsible? One of our favorite Americans, J. Edgar Hoover, who was heading the FBI then.
What was the FBI doing hiring spies?
Well, he was okaying it. He was saying that they were really nice people, that kind of thing.
I thought that was the job of the CIA.
Well, I don't, but he and John Foster Dulles was the other one, the Secretary of State, another genius. Okay. When it came, anybody who was anti-communist, they were in favor of.
That was true. That was all over the world. We backed all kinds of really
okay.
bad people
Okay.
in various countries because they were, quote, anti-communist.
Okay.
But we'll be set on things. Did you see that Mr. Christie has been having a bad time of it? He
deserves
he was
it.
trying to push through sports betting, and the courts ruled
Yeah.
against him. He came up with this grandstanding quarantine idea, along with his equally obtuse governor of New York.
Yeah, but wait a minute. But before you finish, get on to that. Who was against him, against the sports betting? You should tell everybody.
I can't.
All the professional teams.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You know, all the
Of course.
football teams, the baseball, the hockey, the
Right.
basketball.
And he probably should have told them to go stuff it, because half the professional sports teams that are in New Jersey call themselves New York.
All right, go on.
How do you like that?
All right, go
For
on.
instance, the last Super Bowl was in New Jersey, but everything on television told you it was in New York.
And the Patriots played the New York Jets, and the Jets were living in
New Jersey. In New
Okay,
Jersey.
Okay. I went to a wedding down there in New Jersey. I was
Yes?
at this motel.
Do you have any idea what part of New Jersey?
I can't remember. I just remember how the horror show of getting
Exit 12.
getting there and getting into this hotel, and then I heard that in the next morning that the whole team was in the motel,
Oh, really?
and they were going to be on a bus, and I wanted to see them.
Yeah.
So I got up very early, and I went out there, and there was the bus, and I saw them. I shook hands with a couple of these guys who were great.
These were Patriots?
Yeah, no,
Oh, Jets.
these were the Jets.
Jets.
But the funny part of this whole story is the guy I was supposed to follow to where the wedding was
Yeah.
left without me.
While you were shaking hands with the Jets.
Yeah, that's the sad part, because I was 2 hours really late.
And you
for the
didn't
wedding.
have GPS in those days.
No, we didn't have
You
GPS.
also-
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the BATV. No, I'm sorry, the Big TV. Formerly BATV.
I like
At the
BATV
time the
better.
script was written, it was BATV. The Big TV.
Thank you.
Incidentally, BIG stands for Brookline Interactive Group. I've been asked that quite a bit. What the heck is BIG?
Yeah, what is
Brookline
interactive about this organization?
Well,
Do you know?
they're doing a lot more work on blogging and online and streaming.
Yes,
they're
they
using
are.
their computer labs, and they're teaching a lot of interesting things. They have a wonderful program here called Media Girls,
You know all about this. I don't know
which
about
is
it.
teaching middle school girls to fight back against the media image of women and stuff.
Excellent.
And so they're changing it away from just the TV nomenclature and calling it Brookline Interactive Group, because they're doing a lot more
So
production.
you were calling it BAT. All right.
Well, it's big TV.
That big bat TV.
The
Okay,
Big
bat-
TV
okay.
Unrehearsed Thespian Society's presentation for tonight from the vault is called Obfuscate.
Obfuscate or
Obfuscate.
Okay.
Or you could say, if you hadn't put a hyphen in there, obfuscate.
Okay.
But almost everything we do is obfuscation. So
Action.
Why is all this talk about scandals?
You mean FOG?
Oh, you mean Friends of George?
Everyone makes enemies in D.C.
But they all happen to be Republicans.
You're making it political.
All politics is political.
Okay, they're all
Oh,
Democrats.
wait a second, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, well, they're all okay. They're all Democrats, anyways. Well, I'm a moderate. Okay.
I didn't realize that. Is that something new?
Yeah, it's Halloween.
Oh, you're in the middle, huh?
Why?
I don't know, fairness?
The grand jury has been seeing Scooter,
He's an adult?
Vice President Cheney's chief of staff.
But that's a kid's nickname.
Fashionable in the White House now.
Startling revelations, otherwise known as leaks,
the sale of his family's stock.
while wearing a blindfold, I suppose.
Ambassador Wilson was investigating WMDs in Africa.
And the old House Majority Leader DeLay was charged with money laundering.
Booked and had to make bail.
Karl Rove wanted to shut down Wilson.
Scary night with witches and monsters.
President Bush nominated Harriet Miers for the Supreme Court,
Wilson's wife was CIA.
and they outed her.
Who?
That's Special Prosecutor Fitzgerald's problem.
What about the Border Minutemen?
Oh, you mean the vigilantes?
Catching illegals in the Southwest, huh?
What about the cities that are full of them?
Day laborers.
Is DeLay involved?
He was fingerprinted while smiling.
What, over a Mexican crossing?
No, giving money to Republican candidates.
Well, are they Mexicans?
Good question.
What does Valerie think?
Ask Judith Miller.
Wasn't she in jail for a couple of months?
New York Times backed their reporter.
Things change.
President Bush didn't like it.
He thought FEMA's Brown was great.
Just after Katrina.
And what happened to Wilma?
I'm confused.
Fitzgerald isn't.
Who's he?
The special prosecutor.
Oh, you said Miller went to jail.
What did she do?
She never said.
That was then.
So they let her out,
Now she's equivocating.
like Wilma was.
And her laughing. Keeps finding new stuff in her notes.
Material for a book, huh?
No, about Valerie P.,
Who's she?
the outed CIA agent married to Wilson.
Finally.
Scooter spoke to Miller.
Who talked to Kyle Reeve? Oh,
Possibly.
Cheney, Scooter's boss, didn't like Wilson.
And the president didn't like her either.
The U.S. Border Patrol doesn't like illegal vigilantes.
Either do the Mexican illegals.
So Senate Leader Christ had a blind trust.
He couldn't exactly see what he was doing, huh?
It's only about money.
Like Martha Stewart?
Is she a Republican?
I don't know. Ask her cellmates.
This is all very disturbing.
The president doesn't like it either.
Poor Harriet, rejected.
But she's religious.
That's good too.
And the president likes her.
How do you know?
She said she was an evangelical.
So?
George Bush won by 2 million votes.
Okay, he knows what he's doing.
And so does Scooter.
Maybe Harriet does.
Could the Veep tell them?
Probably Carl.
Has anybody discussed this with Valerie?
She recommended her husband.
Wilson?
Right.
Ah.
So I still don't understand.
Well, you see, Wilson said there were no WMDs in Africa.
Secretary of State Powell before the UN said there were
Were what?
weapons of mass destruction.
But we've been through that.
Cable news loves the leaks.
And speculation.
Well, I'm tired of it.
Me too.
The president doesn't like it either.
So when will it stop?
Ask Fitzgerald and his grand jury.
Well, there's lots of clues and lots of suspense.
It's a Democratic conspiracy.
And the president doesn't like it either.
What about Wilma?
Governor Bush doesn't like it either.
I think the special prosecutor is an honest man.
Amen.
No leaks from his office.
And gas prices are falling.
The oil company stock is rising.
Did I miss something?
It's about actors playing cowboys and Indians.
That seems like an oversimplification.
And damage control.
A cover-up? Never.
Harriet's withdrawal satisfies conservatives.
President Bush made a mistake?
Don't forget your flu shot.
So Scooter is indicted for perjury and resigns.
President and Cheney praised him as a great American.
Rove might be called to testify.
Later. And maybe the Veep.
Highly unlikely.
Yeah, Ken Starr was a different special prosecutor.
Whitewater didn't work, so they had Monica.
Scandal in the Oval Office, huh?
Can't compare Libby to Liddy.
Bill was impeached.
Fitzgerald said national security was at stake.
To protect CIA covert agents.
When is an indictment an outdictment?
Let's go, I'm starving.
All right, Pilgrim, let's hit the trail.
Blackout.
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 There we go.
There we
Strange
go.
things we pull out of the
Vault.
the
The
vault.
vault. This vault
Yes.
is okay.
We
All right.
send Rochester down to the
Yeah,
vault.
we sent the vault. Yeah. And
Now,
then-
don't you think that people are getting a little hysterical about Ebola?
yes.
As
deservedly so.
as some people said that there are 9 times as many. No, what is it? 3 times as many people have been married to Larry King who've gotten Ebola in the United States.
Yeah. Well. Okay.
So, on the other hand, I was not too impressed with this nurse who was whining that she was being imprisoned,
Yeah.
she was going to sue and everything because she was put in quarantine when she came back from working with Ebola patients.
Too bad about it.
That should be something you might expect if you go to an Ebola hotbed and tell the people when you come back that you've been working with Ebola patients. I don't think it's too much to ask that you're monitored until it's clear that you haven't got it.
But if she comes down with the Ebola stuff.
Well,
the
now
Ebo-
that Christie's been forced to let her go,
Yeah.
if she in fact comes down with Ebola, that'll be a very interesting situation.
Yeah, it's
I
all
was
it-
going to say it could blow Christie's chances to be president, but I don't think there's anything to blow there.
I think it'd be president of a corporation or something. I don't know. Well, anyways, I'm reading this thing in the New York Times about hundreds of unaccompanied children, part of a recent surge of thousands of migrants. This is the New York Times, who were crossing the border from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. And they were sent by federal officials to stay with relatives or other sponsors on Long Island. So what happens? They go to school with their parents, and they're blocked at the schoolhouse door. They're told, no, you can't enter. we don't know where you're living, if you're going to be here, and all kinds of other excuses. I'm told an impossible scramble to meet the demands for documents proving residency.
Now, wait a second. Were they sent there to live, or were they sent there as a place to stay while their cases were adjudicated, or what?
They were sent to the relatives.
But why? Under what conditions?
That's not the New York education.
You know what that is, Michael? That's really bad reporting.
But it's also,
and this is the newspaper. All the news is fit to print.
Yes, but it's lousy planning on the part of.
Well, you don't know. The reporting's too bad to reach that conclusion.
Well, it's just not. It's not just a Long Island problem. Federal officials have warned districts across the country, says the reporter, against defying a 1982 Supreme Court decision that guarantees the right of immigrant children to an education. If I were running the school and these kids showed up on this business, I would take them and I'd find classes and get them in them.
But aren't they immigrants or are they detainees?
I don't know.
It makes a difference.
But for me, they're kids who need to go to school, and I don't want them out in the street. I would take them in, and afterwards, I would argue all these things with the reporters and with the people from the federal officials involved with the border, the people.
Now, how many kids was it in Long Island?
It says hundreds.
Hundreds?
Hundreds
you
of
don't
kids.
know what the number is?
It doesn't give the number. And two Long Island congressmen, Steve Israel and Peter King, have a bill seeking federal funds, but a Congress that has flatly rejected any humanitarian response to the migrant influx. So
of course they have.
Yeah, we know that. Can't be counted on. That leaves it to Albany and local districts to find new funding, if necessary, to do the right things with these kids. I had this happen to me all those years ago during desegregation, and kids would come to the school and nobody had papers on them. And I had arguments with Judge Garrity about this. I was taking them in. He said, "No, they're not supposed to be there in your school."
Hey, better to argue with your Judge Garrity than with my Judge Garrity.
True.
Because my Judge Garrity kept saying to me, "Bring your toothbrush, you're going to jail." So
he didn't like me. He and his assistant, they didn't like the...
Arthur Garrity was a much more reasonable human being than Paul Garrity was.
I won't get into it. When he retired, I went to the retirement party for him. He said, "You, okay." And the school committee was glaring at me, and they got even with me afterwards.
Anyway, what do you think the population of Long Island is? It's probably 700 maybe or something.
What, of kids?
Of people.
That's a lot of people on that island. Are you
there's
kidding?
9 million in New York.
There's a couple of 100,000 living on that island.
All right.
They put up so many new houses.
Good night, Irene.
Wait a minute.
Irene. Good night, Irene. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. We'll see you in our dreams. Good night, Irene. Good night, everybody. From the Fun Show here at Big TV. We'll be back next week on Election Eve. It's time to start making up your mind who you're going to vote for. But whatever you do, vote.
Vote. You've got to vote.
You got to vote, even if you don't like it.
Yes. And don't worry about the signs. Go and vote.
Right.
That's right.
We'll see you at the polls. I'll be there.
And read those 4 referendums. Okay.